Sturdy yet unassuming demeanor and desire to excel are unparalleled. His ability to lead and make the correct decisions is impressive, and his steadfastness in completing the job while still maintaining a life outside the reserves is truly admirable. Senior Chief has certainly led an honorable Navy career, starting with his active duty years as an Airedale, in the Airedale community. And Senior, I will say, given your stellar resume, that's the only blemish I can see wearing brown shoes. He quickly rose through the ranks. Within 8 years, he was promoted to First Class Petty Officer. Selection to Senior Chief Petty Officer, and selection to Chief Petty Officer, and ultimately Senior Chief Petty Officer quickly followed. As he progressed through the ranks, he assumed the duties of leading Petty Officer, leading Chief Petty Officer, and Command Senior Chief. One does not make the rank of Senior Chief nor assume positions of authority on work ethic alone. It takes someone of strong moral character and the courage to do what is right. I once asked an admiral I knew how he made the really tough decisions. The admiral turned to me and said, "When making tough decisions, do what you think Jesus Christ would do." I've never told Senior Chief that story. Whenever I see him making really tough decisions, the admiral's answer comes to my mind. Senior Chief doesn't choose the most expedient answer. He has the moral fiber and courage to always make the tough choice, to make the right decision. He made those tough decisions in Kabul, Afghanistan, as a Joint Task Force Senior Enlisted Advisor, where he was in harm's way, leading hundreds of sailors, soldiers, Marines, and airmen. He was responsible for over 200 successful convoys that traversed through terrain inhabited by insurgents. Not one of his convoy personnel were injured during these grueling evolutions. I've seen him firsthand assume the duties as Joint Task Force Port Opening Senior Enlisted Advisor at Port Canaveral, Florida, where he was in charge of 80 sailors and soldiers, mostly soldiers. Although this position was normally reserved for an Army Sergeant Major, Senior Chief jumped in with both feet and was directly responsible for the safe removal of over 800 pieces of rolling stock, that's tanks, Humvees, for example, from the operations of Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom. Whenever I asked for his advice during this evolution, which was often, he always put safety of his men and women first. He knew there were more expeditious means to complete the mission, yet he never wavered in his resolve, and I thank him for that. The Navy Reserve is losing one of its finest after 26 years of faithful service. Senior Chief Lampkin made a commitment to the Navy when he enlisted in 1986 and renewed that commitment in the reserves in 1994. However, he also made a commitment to his employer and, more importantly, to his wife. I'm sure it was not easy for Devon and their children when Senior Chief was on duty, especially the year he spent in Afghanistan. Yet they persevered. And now, after 26 years, you will no longer have to share your husband or your father with the Navy Reserves. Senior Chief, you certainly made an impression upon me and everybody who has served with you. Whenever I see or hear the Navy's core values, honor, courage, and commitment, I will think of you fondly. I'm sure whatever you do in the future, you will excel at it, whether it's as a husband, a father, a teacher, or community leader. You're one of the finest men I've ever met, and you will be surely missed. Fair winds and falling seas.